Welcome to Bitcoin Pizza Day 2024.
Alright, magandang gabi sa lahat at welcome to this new episode of the Bitpinas webcast where we interview the people who moves this industry forward at pinag-uusapan natin ang mga pinaka-importanteng balita sa crypto at Web3 dito sa ating bansa. So what you just see or what you just saw is the trailer from an anticipated Web3 game called Eve Frontier. And kasama natin sila ngayon to discuss more about the game together with our friends from Sovrun, no, one of the leading Filipino-led Web3 companies here in the Philippines. So bago tayo magsimula, no, ako po si Michael Mislos, ang editor-in-chief ng Bitpinas. If you want to support independent crypto journalism here in the Philippines, you can subscribe to the Bitpinas Facebook fan subscription, which you can see at the lower left of your screen, no, if you're watching on Facebook. Doing that will help us create more content such as this particular content that you are watching right now, and support journalism when it comes to crypto dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. So hanapin nyo lang ang subscribe button sa ating Facebook fan page. Alright, so I think sa lahat naman ng mga nandito ngayon sa ating sa mga nanonood ngayon, alam natin na isa sa pinakapatok na use case ng crypto at Web3 sa Pilipinas at sa ibang bansa ay yung tinatawag nating crypto gaming, or before we call it play to earn or Web3 games, 'di ba? Ito ay kung saan the players are play the games and then they can earn tokens, 'di ba? So sa mga audience natin diyan, for example, meron ba diyan mga naglaro ng Axie Infinity? Nakikita ko si Marlon sa Luntaw. Hi sa'yo, and Patrick. I think mga naglaro yan ng Axie before, no? Ngunit may mga developers ngayon na ang tanging hangad actually ay magamit ang blockchain upang mas lalong mapaganda yung kanilang mga video game. So no longer just a token but actually using the tech to make the game better. no? Meron din naman mga developers na using blockchain and with the help of AI, nag-iiba-iba yung game experience natin. Kumbaga, whatever your experience are in this particular game will be different from someone else, or kung halimbawa sa akin, iba yung magiging experience ko do sa particular game na yun because they use AI, for example, to create user-generated worlds, etc. So, yun. Welcome to the Bitpinas webcast. We're going to discuss Web3 under the hood. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo nakikita yung Web3, di ba? On when you're playing the game. So, what is the future of player-centric worlds? Kasama natin ngayon, now joining us on stage here at the Bitpinas webcast, Mr. Ben Sisson and Scott McCabe, game developer leads at CCP Games, and together with Mr. Jeth Ang, co-founder of Sovrun. So hi Jeth, hi Ben and Scott. Thank you for joining the Bitpinas webcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
All right, thank you guys for joining this particular webcast, and I know this is your first time here in our show, which we do every Wednesday, every Tuesday and Wednesday live at 8 p.m. here in the Philippines. I understand Scott and Ben are from Iceland, and it is around lunchtime on their end. No, they're eating their lunch after this webcast. So I just want to first, of course, this is your first time here, so some introductions are in order, diba? So Beth and Ben, Scott, and Jet, I would just like to first get to know more about you guys. What how did you first got into games or into video game development, and then into blockchain and Web3 after? So go, I guess very quick. We start with Ben.
Yeah, sure. I'm Ben. I started working here at CCP in this March or April of last year. I was previously a longtime EVE Online player, which is CCP's flagship product. They've been developing EVE Online since the late 90s and launched in 2003.
Yep, that's correct.
And have played myself since I was just a kid back in 2006. And that was probably honestly among my earliest experiences in gaming, if I'm being perfectly frank. And then got into this about a year ago.
Yeah, so for me, I've been playing EVE Online as well for about 18 years. And I spent the last 10 years before I came to CCP working as an engineer in the space industry. I joined CCP about 3 years ago now to come work on EVE Frontier.
All right. So you guys are fans of the game, the EVE Online, before you got into CCP. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the community in EVE Online and just the game itself is definitely one of the best things out there. I love it. I mean, I have a spaceship from EVE Online tattooed on my arm, for example. Like it's, I'm a big fan.
It's one of those games that just like it scratches an itch that no other game really does. Scott makes an analogy that uses a lot, that it's like 17 different games in a trench coat trying to get into the movies. It really does have something for everybody.
Yep.
All right, thank you, and thank you guys for sharing those introductions. I see Ice Team Jimenez on the stream. Hi Ice, for joining. He was looking forward to the EVE Frontier game. No, yeah, I was about to give him. We were talking earlier about possibly giving him early access at that time, no, which I had. So how about you, Jet? No, what got you first into I believe you play video games also. What got you there? And then in Sovrun, and then into, I guess, into blockchain game and Web3 as well. Jet.
Of course, yeah, I do play games. Hi, I'm Jeth. Nice seeing you again, Ben, Scott.
Yep, nice to see you again.
Yes.
So, Jeth.
Mike, thank you for having me. So my name is Jeth. I'm COO and co-founder of Sovrun. I do play video games. It wasn't the first game that I played, but it was the first game that got me hooked onto video games. And I think a lot of the viewers here also have the same experience. I played Ragnarok online back when it first started in the Philippines. It was an MMORPG. That was long ago. I was still a child, and then I got into crypto sometime around 2013, but not really seriously. I only started really paying attention in 2020 That's also around the time that I started exploring blockchain gaming. A couple of my friends and I got hooked onto this game called Axie Infinity. We started a breeding operation there, and then we ended up making a business out of it.
All right. Yeah, I think I vividly remember that time, no? And knowing that you have played Ragnarok from the start, now I know what your age range is at the moment, Jet, no? I think I know your age now. So now we move to the topic proper, no? So the future of player-centric worlds. But I wanted to start first with what we think we could be, what should be, what, how do you say this, like right now, the gaming industry is actually a $1 billion industry, no? And there seems to be a lot of people who play games, a lot of games that are being produced, even MMOs, a lot of those things are being produced right now, and there are many people that play them. So from your perspective, guys, and especially you guys at CCP Games, you did Abe Online before and now Abe Frontier. From your perspective, what do you think is broken, if something is broken in mainstream games today, and what do you think Web3 is trying to solve from it?
Um, I mean, that's a
Oh,
starting with the simple questions.
Yeah,
I
no
see.
shit.
So one of the things we see a lot, especially with MMOs, I want to talk about the MMOs specifically, is the end of life of MMOs can just decimate a community. I mean, how many video games out there have just been shut down? Now, it's one thing for like a single player game to be shut down and taken away from people, even though they've bought it. This is happening today. It's another thing for a multiplayer kind of session-based game to be shut down and taken away. Kind of decimates the community. But then with MMOs, where people can spend quite literally decades in a virtual world, building relationships, and really pouring their heart and soul into these virtual worlds, they can just be taken away and shut down.
Yeah.
Whether that's a problem or not, obviously you can argue either side of it. Personally, I think it's really just disappointing that that's a thing. I understand the business logic behind it, but I would love to see a world where that's not so easy, and people who choose to make a virtual world their virtual home. I mean, our mission statement at CCP is creating virtual worlds more meaningful than real life, and a lot of people find incredibly deep connections and meaning within these virtual worlds. Why is it up to a couple of people to just decide, it's the end?
Yeah. I do some writing on the side, and there's this concept in fiction and in most writing and most creatives, endeavors in general, called death of the author. And the idea is that once you've created something, you've put it out into the universe. You've now contributed this work to like the greater human consciousness. You lose a sense, not necessarily ownership, but you lose a sense of like directorship over the course of that work, right? Because now you have other people contributing to this idea of what this thing is, and whether it's a movie or a book series or a video game, you introduce so many other ideas and so many other personalities into that space. Suddenly the thing is not just this thing that you've made, it's now this thing and all of these other things around it. And the same is true about virtual worlds as well, and especially in the video game space. Like, no one game is just the game anymore, and it never really was. But now that you have these spaces where people can congregate, you have these spaces where people can gather and share ideas. It is not fair, I don't think, for any one developer to just be able to say, okay, well, yeah, this is lovely. You've done this thing. You've introduced all these new ideas, new creations, and they're gone. Goodbye. That seems like a rough way to go about it.
Yeah, I do agree now because of the number of right now when it comes, especially I think I've heard some of the news of very famous like mobile games that have a lot of players that are now just they cannot they're about to shut down, and what they're going to do with the items that they have built, those things, no? How about you, Jet? On that particular one, of course we are in this blockchain industry. um you know what do you think blockchain is trying to solve on this one, on this?
I think blockchain is trying to solve a lot of things. As to whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Time will tell. A lot of different teams are solving a lot of different things, tackling a lot of different problems. The very basic of which is ownership. You turn an item into an NFT, and then supposedly you can take that NFT out of the game. It'll live forever. It's on chain. It's verifiable. All of those nice things. That's on one end of the spectrum, and I think on the other end of the spectrum are teams like New Frontier and CCP, where they're trying to create a world that will outlast you, me, or anyone else that's listening to this stream. These things, they're only really possible on chain, and I think the problem of end of life is a real one. There are a lot of cases where a really popular game, for one reason or another, shut down and the community is gone, and then whatever you paid for that game is basically just down the drain. So blockchain solves that aspect with the concept of these autonomous worlds that supposedly will outlast the creators. And yeah, it's exciting to see where this industry will lead us, and it's exciting to also be around builders like CCP who have basically really just made a name for themselves, and they're not just a fly-by-night studio that just decided to create a Web3 game. They actually have a successful game, period, and they're trying out their hand in blockchain and actually adding some really interesting elements beyond just standard this item is an NFT or this currency is a token sort of thing that other studios are doing.
Thank you for mentioning that, Jet. Now, as we move on to our next topic about building a frontier. So what Ben and Scott. So when as a person who plays video game, I regularly read the video game websites, and I think you have seen this in the past 5 years, 3 years. Coverage of Web3 games on mainstream gaming publications has never been very positive or glowing. It has always been very criticizing, etc. Hi to people who reads Kotaku, but if you but surprisingly, when I read more about Ape Frontier from this particular gaming journalists and gaming publications, it's actually very different. The coverage that you guys have been receiving on this one, like the focus, like you guys are also explaining about blockchain, etc. I remember one particular article when the one of the main, I'm sure if that's the main use case is that if a comet lands on the servers or crashes on the servers of CCP Games, the game lives on. If I remember correctly, no, I think that's from IGN. So you guys,
Yeah.
what is the core vision behind Eve Frontier, and how does it go beyond uh past Web3 game attempts? And we've seen a lot in the last 5 years. Ben and Scott.
I mean, at its core,
Oops.
game first.
Mhm.
I think that's it seems like a wild idea compared to some in the space.
Shocking.
Absolutely shocking. But
Yeah.
build a good game that people want to play first and foremost.
Mhm.
So the core vision is that eFrontier is a dark sci-fi survival game set in space with like a true moddable server infrastructure. And it's a long vision to be able to properly decentralize the game and thus hand it over so that, if the volcano does open up and swallow Iceland,
Likely.
the game will continue.
Mhm.
And the people who choose to inhabit the virtual world will have the agency to continue to live and support the virtual world as long as they want to.
Yep.
As long as one or two people out there want to continue to live in the world will survive with them. This is a long vision. This is not just like, hey, we can knock this out by the end of the year and bish bash bosh, we're done. This is like a multi-decade vision. It involves open sourcing the game engine that runs it. It involves open sourcing the client and perhaps not even being the only client, just one client provider for eFrontier. Maybe other people want to build their own. And it involves enshrining the digital physics of the game itself such that they are immutable and people can continue to live and build on top of the world without destroying it from the inside out. When I say this is multi-decade, I mean that. Like, we have proven as CCP that we can run games for multiple decades. EVE Online is in its third decade right now and has a thriving environment. It's a lot easier to do this kind of stuff if you set out with a multi-decade vision rather than just try build something in 1 year and see what'll happen. If you acknowledge that certain things are going to be big lifts and will take you a long, long time, and some of the technology that we will need doesn't exist yet, and that's fine. Like we can come up with that as we go along or as the industry advances, and we will make it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to talk about the space in general, there is a lot of kind of very generalized bad press, especially when it comes to any game or any application that is using a lot of the tech that we're using right now, and I think a lot of that is understandable. I mean, there have been a lot of perhaps less than good actors that have been inhabiting this space for one reason or another. But at its core, to echo Scott's point from a moment ago, and this is something that our game developer, CCP Goodfellow, our game director.
He's the only guy making the game.
The only one making the game, just the one guy. It's in a room by himself. CCP Goodfellow talked about this a lot. You lead with a good game, and I know it seems like it is a gross simplification of the task, right? Like, oh yeah, just make a good game and everything else will follow. But like at its core, people, they're like, there was somebody I was speaking to not that long ago who said they're like blockchain gaming is kind of a weird misnomer because there are not really blockchain gamers. There are people who like games that run with blockchains, but it's not itself an application that that can't be the only thing you're selling it on. Yep. The same way that we couldn't sell EVE Online is just like, this is a SQL game. It's a SQL database game. Woohoo! Like nobody would give a shit about that, right? So what we do is we build the game that's a good game first, like find something that is interesting and people think is compelling, and put a lot of work into the world and the universe, the moment-to-moment gameplay of that game. And then if it happens to also have the server infrastructure, this backend infrastructure that is doing this thing, that we think is very cool, as long as it doesn't affect how seamless and interactive the game itself is, nobody's going to give a shit. They're going to play the game anyway because they think it's fun. We've had people in our game right now, people who are in our founder access program, who have played for months, and then one day wondered, hey, where's all the blockchain stuff? We keep hearing about this blockchain stuff. Where is it? And we're like, bro, you've been experiencing the blockchain stuff for months. You just didn't realize it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it has to be a seamless experience. You can't sell the thing just for the same reason you wouldn't be able to sell a car on the metal the metal frame of the car. There's so much else that goes into it than just that.
Yep. And making it a seamless experience where it is easy and it's just sort of part of the experience that you can choose to engage with as much or as little as you want is actually incredibly difficult. There's a humongous amount of complexity in making something appear simple. Just as an example, when you make an account and you start playing Eve Frontier, you're flying around in space, you already have a wallet created, the character is a smart character, it exists on chain, and you don't necessarily notice this. It's just there. When you do certain things in the game, you fly up to someone else's, let's just use Sovrun as an example. You fly up to their tournament system they built in one of our hackathons, and you interact with it and you play, and you win some prizes in the game. You're doing these transactions that are involving the chain at various points. But it's all kind of happening seamlessly under the hood.
Yeah.
And we intend to keep making this more seamless. So it's just part of the tech stack that people can engage with. Much like for EVE Online, there's a lot of third-party developers who build things interacting with our API called ESI. And they build things like tools like Alliance Auth. Shout out Aero Rin who built that. That's a fantastic tool that interacts with the EVE Online API. It involves third-party development. Thousands upon thousands of players use it as a user perspective. They don't necessarily need to know about the API systems. They don't need to know how it works. They just need to know how to use it. And I think that's really important, is to just differentiate between builders and users. Not everyone needs to be a builder. In fact, that would be insane.
Yeah.
You're better off having like a core experience that some people can choose to elevate, and the rest of them just is part of the gameplay that they play with.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. No, very very comprehensive on how you guys are building Eve Frontier. And if I can comment, no, I like when you mentioned about this being a multi-decade approach, not 3 years, not 4 years, just as some games of Web3 games of promise 4 years ago. And then the fact that you mentioned about a wallet being already there while you are just as you are interacting, being created while on the fly, which is something that um in the past, I think Jet, you would know this, how stuff when we play Web3 games before, diba? Parang we need to create a wallet, we need to create all this stuff, which creates some kind of disconnect. I agree with you guys on that one. Jet, also you mentioned earlier about the ownership thing, about the two item ownership, the economies that can be built on this one. Here's a question from Ice Team, no, who I think is a player of Eve, if I'm correct, no, but he mentioned about this, no, a lot of people say you own the NFT on the blockchain. Sure, it's in your wallet, and yes, it is on chain, but then the reality hits, the game shuts down, the devs go silent, and now your NFT is just a glorified JPEG with no actual use. So
Mhm.
ownership means nothing if the ecosystem behind it dies. So the real challenge is, how do you build NFTs with lasting utility even beyond the game itself? I think Ice Team here is referring to the fact that when the game dies, even if you still have the NFT or the blockchain item, it's kind of felt useless because no other game will be supporting it, even though even if it actually can. Although you guys, Ben and Scott, you mentioned about make having this a multi-decade approach. Jet, I would like you to comment on that one, on what Ice mentioned about items, NFTs in game, that while they are yours, you cannot actually use it after the game dies. Jet.
Bobby's muted.
Hit by the mutator. We
Yeah.
can't hear you,
Oh,
Jeff. There we
I
go.
was muted. Wow.
It's
Thank
all
you
right.
for
In
that.
there. Now you're good, boss.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a real problem, especially now, more than ever before. A lot of the Web3 gaming studios are shutting down. The gaming industry is brutal. The success rate is closer to zero than it is to 100. Um, and I think the biggest problem from before was that the NFT itself was the product. The game wasn't the actual product. The NFT
Mm.
was the product, and
Mhm.
speculation was the game. And that is obviously now boiling over, right?
Yeah.
And now it's a problem. And I think game developers of the past 4 years or so, they're starting to realize that. And a lot of the gaming studios that are left today, they're trying to think of something new, something different, other than just these items are an NFT, it's on chain, and then it's gonna last forever, right? But like you said, like rightfully pointed out by someone from the audience, when the game shuts down, there's no more utility for it. The obvious fix would be, well, don't make the NFT the product. That's one. And I think in due time, I do believe that eventually a lot of these NFTs and the potential behind these NFTs will be realized. Maybe it's not today, maybe it's not next year, but I do believe interoperability, the ability to bring assets from one game to another, the ability to use your character in one game, take it out, put it into another, and still have that functionality. It's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. But the game obviously has to be successful first. The game is first and foremost the product, and then the NFTs and tokens have to come second.
Yep, I
Thank
agree
you.
with that. I would just say that I think part of the question is slightly flawed, which is that it assumes that the game will shut down. So if we can
Just make a game that doesn't shut down.
just make a game doesn't shut down, as
Yeah,
simple as that.
it's
Problem
as
solved.
simple as that.
And also, Jeth hits the nail on the head when he says that the NFT is the game for a lot of these products. And you're not making a game; you're making a speculation bubble.
Yeah.
And those games are just about who will be the last person to blink. Once the sell-off happens, that's it. It's all game over for everybody, and no one's actually playing the game. You see this a lot where like the token value goes up in some of these Web3 games, and as soon as the sell-off happens, like the player base just disappears and moves on to the next one because they're just trying to pump up those NFTs. I think when you build a game that's a game first, and people want to play it, then these things will always have some sort of intrinsic value. And when I say value, I don't just mean monetary value. I think this is a really important distinction. A lot of people place value in different things. Time is a really simple example. Like I value the time I spend in a game. So I might want to exchange some of my money for time to get to skip something rather than have to grind up to build a certain item. I want to buy it off someone else. And that other person values the money more than the time. And this goes on deeper to the point of like I have like an emotional attachment to some of the ships I have in EVE Online. They're worth a lot of money. They're very rare. But I would never sell them because the value to me is in the emotional attachment of these particular items. That is still value. And what these games can do is they can let you exchange one type of value for another. And it just depends what you as a player value more. Do you value your time? Do you value your experience in the game? Do you value the connections that you make in the game? Or do you value just cold hard cash? And for some people, it is that final answer. With these speculation games, that is the only answer you can possibly give. No one has an emotional attachment to like some of these speculation bubble games. No one has a time value of it. They just want to see number go up. So by building a game that people want to play, you also have to remember that you only can sell these things if someone else wants to buy them. It's all well and good me printing out a piece of paper, drawing a crappy doodle on it and saying this is worth $1 billion. It's not until someone actually comes along and pays me for it. And when you have someone cashing out, that means there's someone coming into the game. So it's a cycle that continues to build and allows more people to enter the universe.
To make a kind of slapdash comparison, if you go to a casino, very rarely are people there who are enjoying the games really caring that much about the chips themselves. The chips are not the product. The games and the thrill of winning a game is the product, right? Now, it's great if you come out with more chips than you walked in with, right? That's obviously the goal. But for most people who are engaging with those kind of games, or really any games in general, if the game itself sucks, you've not got a game. Scott's absolutely right. You've got a currency in a bubble machine, and it's really, and outside of that bubble, it's not worth anything. The thing that games in general allow you to do is take financial value and convert that into other kinds of value as well, like you mentioned, right? It is a means by which you take sentimentality and turn it into something else, right? And whether that's time, whether that's financial value, whatever it is, it is a great medium to do that. Because if the game is, and again, this all boils down to the same point. If the game sucks, then none of this matters because no one's going to want to play the game if it's shit. So make the game that's good, and people will want to have that exchange of value in there. If the game is not good, then you've got something that's a flash in the pan.
Finally, I would say on the aging out, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. Some people have an expectation that like if you can have an NFT, it continue to exist no matter what, and that's your God-given right. I would argue that nothing in life is like that. I mean, I'm a vintage analog camera enthusiast. I like taking photos and stuff like that. I have a bunch of Polaroid cameras. There are Polaroid cameras out there. For those of you who know them, the Spectras, for example, that you can still buy those on eBay, and you can go buy a Spectra camera. Absolutely useless because they don't make the film for it anymore. So, am I entitled to have Polaroid continue to support that just because I want it? Like, no, I can still own the camera, and it's literally a paperweight. There's no expectation that every single thing always has to be continuously useful. And going in with that assumption that you're entitled to have continuous use of something just because you bought it at some point in history is just a flawed opinion.
Moral of the story is everything dies. The best we can do is try and push it off for as long as possible. But like in all seriousness, that is, it's a good point, right? What we're trying to do is create an environment that provides value to both players and the community in general for a period of time, and that period of time is as long as they want to participate in that community. Once that time has passed or they get out of it, it's up to them what they want to do with those assets. All we want to give people is the freedom to say, okay, you have this stuff now. It's yours to deal with as you want. It's not our place to tell you how you have to deal with it. It's not our place to take it from you if we wanted to. It's up to you. So if you think this is something that you can turn into something else somewhere down the line, by all means, be my guest. But at the end of the day, that sort of thing should not be up to us. It should be up to the players and the people who participate in that economy of value, I think.
All right. No, but I guess the good thing is that you guys were mentioning earlier and even in previous announcements on this one, that you guys are planning to support this for as long as, I guess, for as long as you can. No, this is a multi-decade approach, as I mentioned earlier in this stream, and I wanted to comment on the casino thing, no, because I've seen a lot on X, on Twitter, wherein, some creators, I don't know if they're really game devs, but they are like tagging their games as Ponzi games. You get what I mean? Like, you know what? This is not let's just put it out in the open. This is a Ponzi game. You're going to earn if you're early, but if not, I mean,
That sucks.
on my end, I just do not like that particular term, because as
Yeah.
if the entire Web3 community starts calling it Ponzi games, how can you attract more people to this one that we are trying to
I mean,
build?
it's a more accurate way of describing a meme coin. I mean, the thing about meme coins is, and first of all, they are memes, obviously. But by the time you see them moving, it's too late. Like, there's
Mm-mm.
already someone behind the scenes is pulling strings to make things happen in a certain way, and by the time it hits the public, even if you think that you can get in and make some money about it, chances
No.
are you're not going to do that.
No.
It's not for you; it's for the people setting them off. The industry does need some sort of regulation. I 100% agree with that, especially when people start blatantly calling it a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. But I mean, I will say, 10 out of 10 for honesty. At least they're saying it.
Yeah, there's
like
I mean,
if you invest in a thing that says it's a Ponzi scheme,
yeah.
and I guess if you get in there early, at least you know what's happening. But maybe you're the last ones. So
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, man. Like so many of the I don't want to talk shit about our competitors, certainly, and I'm not obviously we would never name names, but there are so many different products out there right now that only serve as vehicles to take advantage of people who either don't know what they're doing or who are like less competent in that space, and that sucks, man. That just doesn't feel good. It's not healthy for the community. It's not healthy for the genre. Like it's just bad. It's bad and it sucks, and that's not like if you are a game developer, you should be trying to like your goal should be to create a game. Like yes,
Mm.
if you
Create
are
an
able to be
experience.
you want to be profitable, you want to be able to continue to make the game into the future. I totally get that. But at the end of the day, these should not be machines to take advantage of people. They should be a way to enrich the lives of like you only get so many years on this rock, right? You should be able we should be doing everything we can to enrich the lives of the people who play our games. That's how you create long-term value in this space. Like EVE Online doesn't exist 22 years later if the game it restricts the community and just tries to siphon the life out of everybody in it, right? The only reason you get that kind of longevity in a game, and the same with other games that have lasted a long time, or any property that's lasted that long, you only get that way if the people who have played your game feel like they have been rewarded in some way, either emotionally or whatever else. And if you can't do that, then you've not created a game. You've created a life-sucking meme engine, and that doesn't feel very good. If I'm being perfectly honest, that sucks pretty bad.
All right, very well said, no, Ben and Scott. No, create a game, but if it is not, if, and that is something that will enrich the lives of the people who plays them. So, before I move to the next one, I wanted to talk about the public access of Web3 game, of eFrontier. No, but Jet, you have a question to Ben and Scott first?
Yeah, I'm actually quite curious, and we might go a couple of questions back here. But
Yeah.
seeing as how you guys have been working with the CCP from way before you started off as players, what was it like going from Eve Online to Eve Frontier? I mean, were you always into crypto? Was it something that you guys wanted, or were you just told by the boss that, hey, you're working on this now?
So for me, the two games are a very different experience from just a game concept first and foremost. Like EVE Online is an empire builder. It's a game of excess and plenty and a vibrant universe. And EVE Frontier is the exact opposite of that. It's a dark survival game in this post-apocalyptic world where everything is crumbling and you're attempting to kickstart human civilization once again in space. From the Web3 side of things, what appealed to me in the initial pitch was nothing to do with the cryptocurrency side. It was all about the decentralization, the third-party builders and development environment, the idea that people could build on top of a platform that we are creating and really truly express their creativity in a virtual world in such a way that it becomes almost permanent part of the world is what appealed to me. I think in general, it's fair to say that blockchain has an image problem, and 90% of the time that's caused by crypto. Crypto is not blockchain. Crypto is an application of blockchain. It's by far, in a way, the most common application of blockchain. It is definitely the most well known. It's definitely the most reported on, but it is not the same thing. It is just one particular use of it. And I think why I think this can be a different approach is because we're not coming at it from a cryptocurrency centric approach. We're coming at it from blockchain as a technology that we use to make a game. To use what Ben said earlier on about EVE Online, it's built on top of a Microsoft SQL database. When that was being done in the late 90s, early 2000s, people thought we were mad. And they said, no, never be able to build a game on top of a single SQL database. And I mean one. It's one database that runs everything. And it gets more than 1 billion transactions a day on a SQL database, which is just mind-blowing. And like Ben says, we don't market this as a SQL game. It's just part of the tech stack, and it allows us to do certain things. The ESI, the way it works, the way that third-party development works in EVE Online is partially because of this choice that was made many, many decades ago. And we see the blockchain as something similar. It may not be able to do, like back in 1999, 2001, Microsoft SQL database could not do 1 billion transactions a day. But that didn't stop the developers at the time. They went ahead, and now it does do that. And we think the same with blockchain. So that is why I signed on to this project. I believe there's a lot of paths to failure, but I believe there's also a really successful virtual world that people can find true meaning in somewhere in the future.
Yeah, and I got into it because Scott told me all of that, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool.
That's pretty much exactly what.
Yeah, that's almost exactly how it went down.
Sold him on it by telling him almost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, was never big into this space beforehand. I was a gamer first and foremost. I was compelled by the pitch for Frontier, and listen. I'm not a tech guy. I'm just I'm a simple talking monkey on a stage. I get up here and I dance around, and people get really excited about that kind of thing, and that's fun. But being able to see the cool things people have been able to do, like the guys from Sovrun that have been able to put out some really cool things using this tech on our platform, that I think was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm kind of sold on this. Like, I get what we're trying to accomplish, and this is a really cool way to do it. But Scott's right. I mean, the whole industry has a really bad image problem, but it's for the same reason I mentioned before. Like, there are just too many people who use put a lot of effort into trying to take advantage of people, and that sucks pretty bad. So if we can do something that is totally different and not try and abuse our customers or abuse our players, like, I don't know, that sounds like a fucking like a novel concept to me personally. Pardon my French. That's it seems like a kind of a cool idea. So, and I feel like that's, I mean, unless there's some wild conspiracy happening behind the scenes, I get the impression that nobody here is interested in anything other than trying to make a cool game that our players want to play. And you can tell me otherwise if that's not the case. But yeah, I mean, it's the platform should matter very little. It's much more about the game you're building on top of it, and I like our game. Yeah.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question.
Hey, Jeth, it's a great question.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic question. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
All right, thank you, Jet. Though, we moved to the, Ben, if Country had this public access
Yes.
last time. Let me just share the link or this one. Yes. So where is it? Yes. So I was just curious now with the founder access that you guys has had in the last few weeks. I just want to know what was the game feedback from the players, and I guess my follow up question in here is that who do you think loved the game more, the traditional EVE online or Web 2 players, or the Web 3 players, those who already played Web 3 games before?
So just to give a little bit of context, so Founder Access is our open-ish play or access period that we're doing right now. We started this back in December of last year, so December of 2024. Basically, if you join our Founder Access program, you get access to the game. You can play throughout the entire course of development. We have a couple different packs that people can purchase. Those packs offer some game time at launch, a couple of cosmetics, and of course the big thing, which is you just get to play the game basically until we are finished with it, or until we're at a point where we're comfortable launching it. We've been doing Founder Access off and on over the, like I said, or not off and on. We've been doing Founder Access since December, but we have had periods of free trial where we've just opened the doors and said anybody who wants to build an account can get in. That's what we did the last we did a 10-day period that just finished earlier this week, or last week rather.
Yeah,
last week. Sorry. Time just flies by when you're having fun, boys. Let me tell you. But the feedback was always good. Like, the thing is, we look at these periods, and Scott can attest to this more. I'm sure he will just in a moment. We look at these periods when we get feedback like this, when we talk about, is what kind of feedback are you looking for? And the answer is really anything, right? I think there's this common mistake that a lot of developers fall into, where they hear really bad feedback and they're like, that's not a big deal. But like, we have to acknowledge when the game sucks too, right? We have to be able to acknowledge our own shortcomings, because like, you don't grow from ignoring your own shortcomings. We certainly have had our fair share of shortcomings over the last 8 months. But
Sometimes
these are all,
a game is really hard.
Yeah, building games are hard, guys. This is shocking, I know. But like, you have to be able to learn from, and all of these are learnings, right? It is, I sometimes fall into the trap myself, even when I'm putting together reports on player sentiment and feedback to the rest of our developers, where I'll see a bunch of positive stuff and just kind of group it together and send it to the team, and then our game director, CCP Goodfellow, will come back and say like, hey, listen, this is great, but like, where's the stuff where people are complaining? Because we know they are complaining. We need to see more of that too, because you don't grow from just being too soft on yourselves. So during that 10-day free period that we had that ended last week, we got a lot of great feedback. The game was mostly stable throughout most of that, but we had a bunch of issues. I mean, and those issues are things that you have to work through. And then hopefully next time you do this, you have a more refined product. And the time after that, you have a more refined product, and so on and so forth, until you get to a point where the game is comfortable for people who are playing it, still challenging, still punishing, still the kind of game that makes you want to come back to it and grind and fight and scrape and claw for every little inch that you can get, but a game that is not objectively broken. So
pretty much.
Yeah.
I would say that I don't necessarily differentiate between Web 2 and Web 3 gamers. I don't think that's necessarily something we need to bother to differentiate. I don't class myself as a Web 2 gamer or a Web 3 gamer. I just class myself as a game enjoyer. Yeah. I don't really care what the technology underlying the game is. If it's fun game, then I'll play the game. I really don't care. And I really don't care where the players are coming into eFrontier from. If they identify as Web 2, Web 3 gamers, that's totally fine with them. I'm not here to tell them how to identify. I think the builders coming from the Web 3 side of things, with the familiarity with the tech and the understanding of what can be done, definitely are enlightening a lot of people who come from the more traditional gaming side.
Yeah. When
they see the things that people are building and something occasionally clicks with them, they go, oh, I see. Now I understand why this is like that. And, Jeth and Sovrun, some of the stuff that they've sort of put together, it's been a great example of that. The fact that they were able to build in one of our hackathons, essentially a self-functioning automated tournament system within the game, is a great example of people taking the game as a platform, as a universe, and building their own gameplay content inside that can be essentially followed by following the rules. It's not just a, hey, trust me, bro, if you win my little tournament, then you get the prizes that I say here. Also, please pay me an entry fee. And then the guy goes and runs off with it. You can see that it's all kind of enshrined in automatic logic that everyone can validate. Decentralizes the trust, and it means that like the cult of personality and the individual trustmanship still can exist in certain ways, and that's absolutely fine. It's a game at the end of the day, but it means that things like this can be built in a world that we are giving to the players, and I think that right there is why it's important.
Yeah, and they did that too with like the bare minimum tools at the time.
It was incredible.
It was nuts that they were able to put that together. It was kind of a high water moment for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty cool.
like honestly, our builders have been kind of nuts. We do have a lot of players who come from the greater Eve Online spaces. A lot of players who have not played Eve in a long time and just want to try something new, kind of within the same vibes, but obviously a different experience entirely. We have players who come, people who like sci-fi, people who like space games in general, people who just like survival games. There's just a lot of different types of player in there that kind of work their way into our game. But the builders as a whole have been, I mean, almost universally just the coolest people. And that's one of the things I've really enjoyed, the opportunity to get to work with these guys, because this is, again, me, a simpleton, so far outside of my realm of comfort that I, feel sometimes very small around them. But the work that they're able to do, again, oftentimes with some of the bare minimumist bare minimumist. Oh boy, that's a rough one. Please don't try and translate that. That's just a salad. The bare minimum of resources for to use those resources and still be able to come up with cool stuff. I mean, obviously down the line we're going to have more and more tools that people can use to develop things on our platform, and we hope people do. But seeing people right now take the stuff that we have given them, just a morsel, a meager crumb of resources, and turn that into some of the coolest shit I've seen come out of, the development of a game, is an extremely, extremely rewarding thing to experience. I being able to highlight those players has been a delight.
All right, no. So thank you guys for sharing that, no, for our audience. We were talking about this contest from CCP Games, the Project Awakening, which the team of Jep at Sovrun had actually won. So Jet, the floor now is yours. What was it like to be at that contest? What was the experience like, and what did you learn from it?
Well, it was some pretty exciting stuff. I mean, we first heard about we first heard rumors that CCP, the maker of Eve Online, was going to build a blockchain game. Of course, when you hear rumors like that, you pay attention. A lot of the studios that you see now, they actually built their games off of the back of EVE Online's success. And what I mean by that is what we saw with Axie Infinity is that you can actually have these economies, although simple as they were back then, on chain, and you could build these micro economies, right? And whenever people would try to pitch Web3 gaming, they'd always mention that, hey, economies are not a new concept in these games. Just look at Eve Online. Right? It was always that. Just look at Eve Online. Just look at Eve Online. So we were very excited heading into the playtest. We didn't know what we were expecting. Well, I kind of had a feel of what I was expecting. Oh, it's just going to be a reskin of Eve Online, or they're going to put the ships and then the materials as NFTs, and then you can have currencies. So that was our base expectation. And then we tried it out, and then we were just blown away. The integration of blockchain into Eve Frontier is so unique, and dare I say, I think it's pretty groundbreaking, that we just had to participate in the hackathon, and we just had to try out. We've built a couple of things. I mean, we have experience with Web3 and blockchain and smart contracts and that sort of thing. I personally am a big DeFi nerd. And so my mind was racing, thinking, oh, we could build so much cool shit here. Well, what do we build? And it got the team really, really interested, because I think it was the first time that it actually clicked for a lot of the people on the team, that blockchain gaming or games built on chain was more than just speculation. It was more than just tokens and NFTs. Here was a game. Here was a game developer, massively successful, and they're bringing this blockchain game that where you can actually integrate smart contracts inside the game, and these smart contracts you can interact with them. That's pretty crazy, right? And it was a pretty insane experience, working with the CCP team and trying out what they've built. And we were very excited to come up with what we think is something very unique, as Ben and Scott may have touched on a little bit earlier. actually built this sports league on top of a very simple, the community likes to call the vending machine. Essentially, you put tokens in, and then out comes an NFT, or the other way around as well. So we managed to build a sports league on top of that, and I guess that speaks volumes about all of these good things we hear about the blockchain, right? Composability, decentralization, the ability to build anything. You're only limited by your imagination and what has come before. And our Web3 experience really helped. We were able to look beyond very simple. If I give you an apple, you give me an orange type of smart contract, and um, we were honored to actually win it. We were happy. We weren't expecting that actually, but we really worked hard for that.
All right, Jet, thank you for sharing. No, just one follow-up question: was there any point during the hackathon that you think that, hey, I think we're going to win this?
Um, I don't know. There were a lot of
I
really
guess not.
good
Okay.
teams there. There were a lot of really good teams. I was actually really paying close attention to quite a bit, some of them. Peeking a little bit in the Discord server, seeing what was up. Trying to get trying to get a good sense of what other people were building. But I think once I saw the entries, I think we had something because what we built was pretty unique.
All right, thank you, Jet, for sharing that. No, just wanted to share what Eliezer Rabadon was mentioning here, that it is great to see real MMORPG developers gaining insight into what this technology can bring to gaming. I totally agree. There's no need to label ourselves as Web 2 or Web 3 gamers, because at the end of the day, we just want to play good games regardless of what tech runs underneath. So that's correct now, Ellie. Echoing what our friends here from Eve Frontier from CCP Games have mentioned. Just like we don't care what email we use, etc. I am now down to my last two questions. Guys, Scott and Ben, I've heard about the playtest. I've read about it. I know that many Filipino guilds have actually participated by our friends from YGG. I see here JB from our in the audience, so I think participated also. This is my second to the last question. No? What opportunities do you see for I guess not just Filipino players, but for everyone who are gamers, who are guild or members of guilds, or even builders? What opportunities do you see are in it for them when it comes to Eve Frontier?
I mean, what Frontier offers and what Frontier is trying to present to people is the chance to rebuild civilization from basically scratch, right? In the lore of Frontier, there existed civilizations many, many thousands of years ago. Those civilizations are all dead. So now you have the chance, basically, to build a new civilization, all of your own, on top of the bones of those old civilizations. And you can do with that what you want. And we want to offer people the freedom to make their own decisions, to build their own civilizations their own way. If you want to build a civilization that's open and has free access and people can come and go as they please, then that is your right to do so. If you also want to, lock your gates and create this sort of hyper militarized, crazy nation state, that's also within your right to do so. Giving people those tools and then saying, go forth and conquer, make of that what you will, is I think the goal for us and for our players.
Yep. I've used the analogy that the world of E-Frontier is very much like the world of The Walking Dead. You wake up in this like post-apocalyptic horror with civilization has crumbled around you and is rotting, and the world itself is basically out to kill you. And then you go around and you meet like individual survivors, small like communities hiding inside like one or two buildings, up to giant like military industrial complexes that are forming with armies and stuff, to agricultural societies and all sorts of different pieces. And in between their little castles that they're building is just this untamed wilderness. And that's how I see E-Frontier. So to answer the question, guilds, players, people, you can wander into this world and build your own little fiefdom or agricultural society or community or whatever you want. You can build a monument to your individual greatness. You can build some sort of like communist egalitarian society,
Or you can die.
or you can just fucking die.
Just fucking
like,
die.
so
Yeah,
it's
and
really
probably
up to
you gotta
you.
do that a lot.
Yeah. I think it's what it offers is the freedom, the customizability to make your meaningful mark on a virtual world. And whether that meaning comes from friendship, relationships, accumulating assets, building, being notorious, being feared, being loved, like that's really up to you and whatever your personal desires are. It really is a blank canvas. With founder access, the chance to get in early and help us shape the overall vision, I think also is important.
Yeah.
Like, people give us feedback all the time. It's almost always listened to and learned upon. We have a long way to go. Like, this is not a thing that we're saying like, hey, good job,
Job's done.
guys. See you next time. This is very much still early days, work in progress.
Yeah.
So getting involved, having your voices heard at this stage, I think is a really valuable prospect.
I mean, and we do listen to basically everything people say, for better or worse. I mean, it's all gets filtered down to stuff that is useful for our development teams. But if you get involved now, what you're doing is just giving yourself the opportunity to communicate with us more closely, right? We talk a lot about the co-development and wanting to develop the game with our players. I think we are adherents to this idea that you can't really develop a game agnostic of your players. You have to be cognizant and aware of what their desires are and how they play and how they interact with the universe. You're not beholden to their whims. You can't only develop for players, because players oftentimes don't always have great ideas. I think a lot of our players would admit to that as well. But getting in right now, just participating in our space, even if you don't join our founder access program, even if you just join our Discord, and interact with the community, interact with us on socials, whatever else, these are all great ways that we can just get feedback for how people feel about it, what they want to see from this universe, and hopefully down the line we have a game that more reflects the hopes and dreams of everybody who's participated so far.
All right, thank you guys so much. No, before my last question, I just wanted to ask. No, you mentioned that everything is customizable on Eve Frontier. People can do what they want to do, but is there anything that they cannot?
Oh yeah, it's fucking tons. They can't
lots
do.
of stuff.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the digital physics of the game are very,
The
very,
physics, okay, yes.
very basic at the minute. We want to enshrine more of these and unlock more of them to the community over time. It just really to be methodical with this. Like, this again goes back to the multi-decade approach. At the moment, certain things have been opened up, like item locality and these quote unquote vending machines and so on. We want to eventually make it more so that the fundamental physics of the game are locked but composable, so you can customize and build different things. That will take some time, and I don't really want to get into speculation about what it will look like at this point, but we are doing it slow and deliberate on purpose.
Mhm.
So this will take years.
Yeah, we really don't want to fuck this one up. That'd be kind of a problem, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
All right, Jet, do you have a final question to Scott and Ben?
None comes at the moment. Sorry.
All right, so
Oh, good, Jeff.
all right, no. So, final question, guys. If a studio came to you, I know a lot of game developers, gamers look up to CCP Games, to Eve Frontier as a North Star or as an inspiration. What if a studio or someone comes to your office tomorrow? They wanted to build a Web3 game. What advice would you give them?
Build
This
a
is
good
also
game.
a question to Jet.
Yeah, build a good game
Just
first.
build a
Don't
good game.
give a shit about all the Web3, Web2 nonsense. Just build a good game.
Yeah.
Use the technology that you want to unlock particular gameplay, styles and methodologies that you want in your game that people will have fun with, and go from there.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate this.
I mean, Web 2 games, Web 3 games, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you build a shit game that you're just trying to use to cash in on a quick little grab some money from a couple of gullible guys, then like, that sucks, and
Yep.
you suck, and you shouldn't
Both
do
sides
that.
do this as well.
Yeah,
Like,
everybody does this.
Yeah, like, just look at how many like awful Kickstarter cash grab games there are, or things that launch into
really bad in
early
the mobile
access and
space
then
too.
get dropped. Mobile
Yeah.
games, like, it's not unique to any one area of space. Like, everyone's smeared with the same brushes here.
Yeah.
So the direct answer is literally just try your best to make a good game.
make
Be
a good
honest
game.
with your community. Be open with what you're doing. Be open with what your goals are. treat people's time with respect.
Yeah.
And just remember that most people out there are smarter than you, so don't
Yeah.
try and pull the wool over their eyes.
I mean, and be willing to accept when things aren't good too. I mean, that has been a huge thing, obviously, for us, and I know it's the same for a lot of studios, right? When you've done something, it's very easy to get emotionally attached to it and to be like, oh, my thing is without fault. Like, I've put a lot of time and effort into this. Hey, I got bad news for you. Just putting a lot of time and effort into something doesn't mean it's good. It just means that you put a lot of time and effort into it. If it also happens to be good, then great. But if it's not, you have to be willing to adjust and review your processes and say, hey, maybe we need to look at this a different way. And if you're willing to do that, be open and honest with your community and just try and make a good game. I feel like you've got most
You got
of the
some good
sauce.
blocks.
Yeah, it's blocks.
There.
See that?
Yep.
On brand.
Yep, I said the name.
Hell yeah.
All right, Jet, how about you?
I mean, echoing Ben and Scott, you gotta build a good game. Maybe set. I mean, that's the monumental advice that anybody can give. I guess Barry, but based on my experiences, you have to rethink your tokenomics. Models of the past don't work anymore. I think you either go integrate blockchain in a different way, much like CCP did, or you use newer blockchain tech, like app tokens, for example, by Limit Break, which I think is a lot more friendly towards game developers. You have to take the speculation out. That's just, I mean, you either want the speculation and you play the token game, or you build for a good product and build for a good experience, and you take the speculation out of it. You can't have both, unfortunately. It's looking like.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining this webcast. I'm sure our audience has also enjoyed listening to you guys, and our audience. So please thank our guests for tonight for lending their time to join our live stream. So any final words, Jet and Ben and Scott, and finally, to Ben and Scott also, to anyone who don't have founder access, when can they play the game again next? So Jet, we start with you.
Sorry, was that the question for me?
Yes, on your end, final words on you and anything that you
Oh,
would want to say to our audience. Where can people find you
yeah.
and Sovrun, for example?
Okay. Well, again, I'm Jeth, CEO and co-founder of Sovrun. We're building some pretty cool stuff when it comes to autonomous worlds and on-chain gaming. Check us out on socials, Sovrun. We'd love to have a chat with you on Discord. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Jet,
Yep.
thank you for joining our webcast and being my co-host for tonight. Ben and Scott, any final words and when can people play the game if they don't have the
So
founder
if they don't
access?
have founder access, then we haven't announced our next free period yet, but just
Okay.
sign up for the newsletter, follow us on Twitter, join our Discord, and you'll see people are plenty engaging in there even when there's no free access periods, and just keep an eye out for the news. You can find me, I'm CCP_overload on Twitter. You're CCP _Jötunn, I believe.
Yes.
That's right. Got it in one.
Nailed it.
Yeah, no more final words. Just thanks for moderating this. Nice to see you again, Jeth, and some really good questions. And yeah, thanks for having us.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining this webcast. Let's give our thanks to our guests, Ben and Scott from CCP Games, and Jet from Sovrun. This is Michael of Bitpinas. Thank you for watching this webcast again. See you again next Tuesday. Makita-kita tayo ulit. And then for those who will wait, check out our Facebook page because we will have our survey form there. Anything that you will answer to our survey will help us improve our next webcast. All right. Thank you again for joining this Bitpinas webcast. Maraming salamat at magandang gabi sa lahat. Thank you.